What is your name? What are your pronouns? And what are you going to talk about today?
My name is Juanita Bernal Alvarado. I am from Colombia and my pronouns are she, her. Today I'm going to talk about my experience as an international student. I must say that I'm here for a short period of time, so I'm going to talk about it.
Could you give us an international student 101?
Being an international student is just taking this chance, this huge opportunity to go out of your country, visit somewhere else as part of your degree at home, or just going to study anything, anywhere, but not in your country. Yeah, so that's the definition for me.
Can you give us a brief description of what being an international student means to you personally?
I've come here with the idea not only about studying and just completing a course, but learning about different cultures, and that is a great deal for me, especially coming from Latin America. Coming here is a really different experience to live. So I'm here to make new friends, know about different cultures, understand what others think about the world, to see what problems and lessons they face and to learn from that. So I think it's a really integral experience, aside from, of course, achieving some educational objectives too.
Have you felt you've been marginalized or stereotyped due to being an international student?
There's two sides of this answer, and the good side is that I have found that people in Hull are really friendly. I mean, they're nice, they always greet you with a smile on their face, but they're quite close. So maybe you receive a good gesture from them, but then becoming friends may be a little bit difficult. That's with British people particularly. There's someone always there to help you, independent from the language you speak or your accent or anything. So for that side, I haven't been marginalized. But there's another side of this story, and it's me coming from Colombia. There's an issue around stereotypes and Pablo Escobar, the drug culture. So when I say I'm from Colombia, there's always this, sometimes it's kind of a joke they make, and I mean, maybe sometimes trying to be friendly, but there's sorts of comments around, did you bring any drugs with you, or how do you come here? Why are you here? We don't have Colombians here. Why didn't you go somewhere else? Why didn't you go to London? There's a bigger Colombian community there. And also, like, asking me about these types of questions related to drugs makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable. And though it is not like typical marginalization, I feel kind of weird sometimes about that. And it is not because of people are trying to be mean and at me, not at all, but sometimes these jokes can be taken really bad if, like, depending on the context and depending on what's happening. That would be like a general view of my stay here at the city, I mean. But in the university, it hasn't happened. Like, in campus, I haven't had this type of experience. It has been mostly outside of the university, because I think, I don't know why, but the friends that I have made here are mostly postgraduate students, and they come with lots of knowledge about Colombia, rather than those things that have been shown by Netflix and Pablo Escobar, El Patrón del Mal, and all of these documentaries and series. So, for example, my friends, they talk about coffee, they talk about books, Latin American authors, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, and all of these things that really make me feel excited and make me have a little bit of hope that not only the bad things of Colombia are being portrayed. So it's a contrast.
Could you do some myth busting about stereotypes surrounding international students?
I'm going to talk about Latin American ones, because that's what I have lived. First of all, we Latins are expected to look one way. So most of the times people here have told me, you don't look Latin American, and I don't understand that. I have some Latin friends here from Colombia, Costa Rica, and we all look really different, because we have, I mean, there's so much diversity there. First of all, not all Latins look the same, we don't speak the same, we have different accents. So that's the first one. The second one is, we don't all do drugs. I mean, yeah, some people might try them, and or some might consume them regularly, but my case is that I don't do drugs, And well, there's also diversity there, so you shouldn't assume that all Latin Americans do drugs. Not even, I mean, Colombia, that has been stereotyped around that. There's a difference between an accent and being understandable. So I believe accents are the best thing ever. I don't ever want to have a British or an American accent. That is the way that I have been taught in school to speak English. But aside from making yourself understandable and speaking in a way that people get to know what you're saying, accents are the best. And it's really interesting to see that everyone is making an effort to come here and to speak a different language, and there shouldn't be like a need to change the way you speak. Just make yourself understandable, and that's enough. And yeah, I find that in Latin America there's lots of accents. Colombia, for example, has different regions. So we have coastal regions, we have cities in the mountains, and we all speak really differently. Colombia is a big country, so I speak one way and I look one way, but you'll see a huge diversity there. I think it's funny. I don't think it's that bad, but people assume that Latin Americans, all of us, are really good dancers, so they really expect you to learn, to teach them salsa dancing, merengue dancing, and it's not that easy. I mean, I know how to dance, and I certain things, but people are expecting you to know how to dance, and yeah, no, that's not true. Not everybody knows how to dance.
How could the people around you and the university do better?
I think the university right now it's doing great because I had the opportunity. You were there. I actually met you at the international student meeting, and I have friends that are doing their PhD in Colombia and having their the same thing I'm doing here. They're doing in other countries, and they haven't met people, so much people as I have. And that's because this university is providing spaces for us to feel comfortable. And I really feel, for example, at the movie, I went to the movie Nope at the Black History Month, and you provided these traditional dishes from other countries. So I mean, it's a small things, but it really makes us feel comfortable. Maybe the university could make these spaces more visible, because in my case, I knew I could go to the webpage of the Students' Union, and then I found these events, but most of my friends didn't know about them. So it was because I told them that they could assist there. So that could be it. Maybe provide billboards, maybe, for people to be aware of these events more often. Oh yeah, there's, for particularly for Colombian people, not much of us know about Hull and like this part of England. And I know, for example, you in the university's student union, there's some flyers around trips to Colombia. The university should ensure these interactions between like British students and students from all around the world. For example, I could give a small talk or something around these types of events or trips, maybe to motivate people to go and to talk about Colombia in different ways and to tell them about my experience. And then we could build those bridges between people. So yeah, I think those events are really good, and I really have appreciated them, but we could make them bigger.
How do you feel the media represents international students?
Media can portray a country or an international student in different ways depending on how they manage information. So, for example, streaming platforms such as Netflix take particular stuff about countries and about people, and they just build up content depending on what sells and what people would really be interested in seeing. So that may have a positive or negative effect over the view people have about international students or about countries in particular. And also, media is really important for us to know what's happening around the world, what's happening in politics. So you gotta be careful and build a whole, like the most systemic image possible, reviewing different sources, so that you don't get just the one face of a problematic or a particular situation. So media has a big power about because they're able to manipulate information, present facts they want to, and others that they don't. So I think we should be really critical about what we see, and trying to complete and complement what we see with other sources, just to make sure we're seeing the whole thing. So Pablo Escobar is a really polemic figure around the world, and for Colombia it has been a really difficult situation to handle. So usually there's this they portray him as a really powerful person who achieved lots of things, that had a really eccentric life, but generally they don't show the damage he has done to the country. So usually Netflix series and other documentaries and stuff show Pablo as some like idol for some people, and then they don't show the other part about the conflict, about lots of people he killed, and how he made things really difficult for the government and for the population in general. That's a way of seeing how information can be manipulated depending on the objectives of a particular platform. And well, I would invite people to research more, just not like take what a Netflix series tells to them, because there's different sides of the story, and maybe also visiting the countries or talking to locals can give you a greater image, and then you can be more critical.
Is there anything else you would like to say, or anything else you would like anyone to know about being an international student?
It's an amazing experience. It's definitely not easy. So you face many fears. There's lots of students that come with their families, but I have met so many people that are coming on their own. So it's an experience that will make you grow personally. So I would recommend it to anybody. Just face your fears. Just jump and try to practice your English or your language, whatever language it is, with others, because people will be receptive, and you will find lots, and you will make lots of friends. You will learn about different cultures. You will learn about different perspectives of the world. So it can be kind of scary, but it's an experience I wouldn't change for anything. So I would recommend it to anybody.